Welcome to the Commercial Real Estate Podcast powered by First National. I am Adam Powadiuk, sitting here with Aaron Cameron at the Southwest Ontario Real Estate Forum Year 3. We're quite happy to be here. We have an interesting guest coming up, somebody out of our usual realm of investors and builders. We have Mayor Mike Bradley, City of Sarnia. He's doing the keynote at lunch today, I believe. And so timing couldn't be better. I mean, to have somebody like this on Sarnia, border city, tariffs, implications, real estate, it all makes, for an interesting
good conversation.
Yeah, maybe makes some headaches too. But I'll let Mayor Mike Bradley speak to that. But thanks for spending time with us today.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate this. And I should mention, even though I've not used it in 38 years, I also have a real estate license.
Oh, you're one of us.
And I used to work for 3 years. I worked for Remax.
Fallback plan.
Remax in Sarnia. So I have that background. I know what it's like when things are good, things are bad. And I appreciate what the real estate sector does. I really do, because there are frontline ambassadors out there dealing with people coming to a community, and they get, like I do, one shot at it.
I got to ask then, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but why'd you leave the industry?
Well, when I became the mayor in 1988, had the license. I was not being paid. I was paid $23,000 a year. But I also know that in politics, your reputation is everything. And having a real estate license and using it, I still keep it and I pay for it and I pay the insurance, but using it would just leave you open to charges of conflict of interest on a regular basis.
For sure.
You're dealing with a business coming to town. Like, why are they coming to you as a realtor? Like, it just wasn't worth it.
It's your fallback plan.
It is.
Yeah.
It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
And keeping your reputation in politics is difficult at any time. And mixing in real estate was not the right.
And I'm sure all those years ago, you didn't plan on being mayor for 30 something years.
No, what I'm in is the remedial program. They keep on electing me till I get it right.
Yeah.
And so far that is working. That is working.
You're doing just good enough, but not great. So they keep you around.
He still has work to complete here.
Well, you always do, no matter how long you're there, right? But when you start out on this journey, you know, knowing how politics is, you don't have any understanding of how can this continue. I get mayors all the time saying, how do you get elected 11 times? If I knew that, I'd be in the consulting mayor's election business.
Yeah.
The only thing I do say to them is be yourself. Be yourself. And at the beginning, you tend to do things you think they want as a public. Then you learn, just do what you think's right for your city. That's the most important part.
So this is a national podcast. We've got listeners from all across the country. Maybe describe, Sarnia, where it was, who it was, and where it's going.
Well, Sarnia is Canada's eastern energy hub. All the energy in this side of the country comes through Alberta to Sarnia. We are incredibly important to the national economy, which is a real struggle to get across to governments in the last number of years. They don't want to go near the chemical industry, the chemistry industry, but you couldn't survive without it. And one of the most visible issues in the last couple of years nationally that relates to Sarnia is the Michigan government trying to shut down Line 5, the pipeline that goes from Alberta through the U.S. into Sarnia. And if it was to shut down tomorrow, we'd lose 5,000 jobs in Sarnia. We'd lose thousands of jobs in Quebec and ironically in Michigan. So we're vital to the national economy, but trying to get this past government, and I'm not a partisan. When I became the mayor in 88, I dropped all party politics, not involved at all, is that the last 10 years, the government in Ottawa had an attitude towards the chemistry sector, to the chemical sector, and didn't want to be near us. We were the bad guys in the national economy. Yet we're not. We add value. And in my community, we've been leading the way. We have the Biofuel Centre of Canada in Sarnia. We have the Western Research Park. We've got the largest ethanol plant in Canada. We had the largest solar farm in Canada for a long time. So it's not that we're dinosaurs. We're always looking for how can we take the present energy system and use that to build a new economy. That's what it's been about. And that's what I've been trying to do all these years, build that new economy.
How do you foster that as mayor?
It's difficult because people say, well, look, we're going to get another big, huge
The
plant.
reliance on petrochemical plants and that being the old system, how do you change minds to the new new strategies?
It is tough. But if you look at Sudbury, you look at Hamilton, all were one industry towns. And most were forced to change. We are forced to change, but we still have a very strong economic base with the petrochemical sector. But we're trying to build on that. And in fact, it's the major companies, whether it be Exxon or Shell or whatever, they're driving, we need to change. We need to do things differently as it relates to energy. So that's part of it. The key, from my point of view as mayor, though, we've always, in the last number of years, had a really good relationship between business and labor. And keeping that coalition together has helped foster what we're doing today as it relates to changing our direction, massaging it into a different economy.
Labor obviously is the people that live in your city. And let's try to tie this back to real estate. Of course, they need a place to live. They need a place to shop. They need a place where their goods are stored. And sort of, what aspect of the commercial real estate industry, and I maybe what's a different way to put this is, I mean, I know it's sort of ancillary to your core business, of course, which is keeping, the city running. But clearly it's critical infrastructure. And so how does that impact your sort of day to day, or how has that played an important role as your mayor over the last 30 years?
Oh, it's been huge because when the town is booming, everything else booms, starting with commercial real estate, residential real estate. So it's an important factor there. And when times are slow like they are right now because of what's going on with the U.S., you see it go back to the commercial, naturally they're on the front line. So it is important. And actually, my best sources for what's happening in the community are usually realtors. They're out there trying to make a living, and they understand.
Trying to lease space, trying to rent
Exactly.
apartments, trying to build something perhaps.
Well, when they're talking to you about changes they're looking for, what's their top concerns?
Realtors?
Realtors, yeah.
Well, it's always development charges. It's commercial taxes. And I mean, in Ontario, the commercial tax residential is a nightmare. It's a nightmare to understand, and it just doesn't function very well. So that's what you hear back the most. Obviously, land for development is really important. And Sarnia is a lot like places like Windsor. We can't go to the north because of Lake Huron. We can't go to the west because of the U.S. We can't go to the south because of the First Nations territory and the industry. We can only go east. So having land ready and serviced and being available for commercial realtors is really, really important.
How would you describe your friendliness towards developers? I mean, friendly is a bad word. How would you respond? How would you describe? Let me say that again. How would you describe your relationship with the development community?
Well, it can be off and on. There are times as a mayor you have to do things that they may not support or may not like, but that's what your job is. And as long as they respect you, I've always found it can be mutually gratifying for us just to deal with issues. It's coming forward. But the key is again, respect. And again, we often have to make difficult decisions that may not be well received in the real estate sector, but we have to.
And would that be, requiring affordability? Would that be just, limiting density on sites? What kind of things would you be?
We haven't gone that far on trying to get developers to do things that we think they should do. I've always taken a very open approach about let's not over restrict people. Let's give them the ability to invest. And I'll give you a good example right now is with the federal government really pushing housing, and rightly so, but getting the federal government back in big time to develop more housing. I would prefer to have the private sector very much part of that, and that we really are together on it, because I know the private sector can probably do it quicker and faster and get results.
And as the capital do it, we can't always rely on government balance sheets to carry housing costs.
Well, one thing I will point out, which I'll mention later here today, is Sarnia is probably one of the few debt-free cities in this country. We had a massive debt about 20 years ago. We decided to reduce it. It was painful. It wasn't like Mississauga that had the lot levies, development charges. We went ahead, restrained spending. We built up our reserves, and no disrespect to bankers, we haven't borrowed from the bankers in 20 years. And what we do is we were paying 15 cents on the dollar on debt. Now we're paying zero, and we're putting that money right back into the community. So it's being reinvested.
I applaud you for that. Actually, Aaron and I were discussing government debt when we were driving out here, interestingly enough. So I absolutely applaud you for that.
You're now Adam's favorite mayor.
My new favorite mayor, yeah.
Well, I'm glad I'm someone's favorite mayor.
Yeah.
But I will say this,
I can't vote there, unfortunately, but yeah.
I will say this, though. I've got constant pressure to go into debt again and to spend a lot of money. And that's the political thing. They're always looking for legacies. And my view is legacy should be what you've left, not monuments. But the average Canadian's deeply in debt. And so trying to sell the debt thing, they got to understand that we can do more now because we're not servicing the debt. It's pretty remarkable.
It's a sunk cost, right?
Yeah.
Interest is a sunk cost.
Yeah.
You've brought a lot of new housing units to the area. How important is the housing file when you're looking at the list of priorities?
It's extremely important given what's happening in our community across the country. I will say that we've approved many projects over the last 20 years, 10 years, and a lot of them are now just coming to fruition. It could have been financing, it could have been other issues, the economy, but we're now starting to see in the last few years, and the government of Ontario just told me the other day that they're going to give us more money because we are a leader in Southwestern Ontario on developing housing.
Which is the supply side of the equation on the housing crisis, and a lot of municipalities are not meeting that goal.
No,
Yeah.
and I think the government's recognizing that 1.5 million homes, they're not even close. And they're going to have to make some changes too if they really want it to happen. It's a noble goal, and we're doing our part, but there's a lot of municipalities that, for whatever reason, just can't get there.
We're running out of time, which we're sensitive, and you've got to jump on the sort of the keynote speaker. Couple last questions. You know, obviously in our sort of geopolitical environment, being a border town, you're juggling, I think, a lot of challenges right now. How is the city doing, and what does it look like in the next couple of years?
Well, we're feeling the impact. Our neighboring city, Port Huron, ironically, which voted for Trump, is really feeling the impact. The statistics I saw in May was it's down 40% crossing the border, 40%. And that's building on 25% the month before. So the damage to the American economy is bad. The damage to our economy is there. And where worries me the most is we're in a community that has a lot of multinational companies like Exxon, like Shell, you name them. And if they make future investment decisions, will they go to what is our competition, which is the Gulf of Mexico, Texas, because they won't have the tariffs, or will they take the risk of investing in Ontario? That is a real struggle, and it's a hard one to grab, but that is the big fear right now.
In Sarnia, is the kitchen table conversations for family there, is the tariff war the hot topic right now?
I told the story recently on national television. I go into a Harvey's on Saturday night. Normally you'll hear my road's terrible, or, the Leafs are terrible. We all know that. But if you back off that, what I hear now is tariffs. Who knew, most average Canadians, who knew what a tariff was?
Yeah.
Who knew what a tariff was 6 months or a year ago? But it's registered. The anxiety. In a border city, we see the helicopters, we see the bridges and what's going on there, and the lack of traffic. So we feel it, but I just use the word anxiety. That's the big one.
Yeah, the unknown around it is tremendous. Historically, being near the border was a great asset, and I'm sure Sarnia benefited more than both. There's a reason that most Canadians huddle around the border, weather being one of them. But do you see a short resolution on this? Do you see, 2 years from now, it's back to, if not business as usual, at least a productive relationship?
I think it's like a marriage or a relationship that's broken down. You may get it back, but getting the trust back is going to take a long time. And one of the points I try to make to my border city mayors, we have an alliance of border city mayors across the country that meet every week or two, is that they say, well, it's just one person. No, it's not. He had 77 million voters. And my own prediction was, if there's election today in the U.S., I think he'd have 80 or 90. It's working for him in a very twisted sense. That's very disturbing. And if he leaves, Vance is there. So this could continue. I think we're heading in the right direction federally. Let's do everything we can to be independent. And it's going to be painful. It's easy to buy the right type of ketchup or boo at a hockey game. That's the easy stuff, right? It's when we get into the long-term stuff. Do you want a Canadian automobile industry? Do you want to do these other things with NATO? Do you want to have a better relationship with Britain on trade than we do with the U.S.? Those are big and painful issues. So I only hope Canadians will be strong enough. They've been strong right now, but when the going gets tough, will they be strong enough?
Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you spending the time with us. A great conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah. And when you retire from politics and you start back to your real estate career, we're here for finance for you. This is.
Hey, you guys are good.
Yeah.
You guys are really good.
Thank you so much.